Good evening. Coming up tonight.
New plans for Russell House expansion have been submitted to the Board of Trustees.
Gamecock women's basketball remains dominant with a road win against the reigning national champions.
And a movie festival that pays tribute to Jewish culture within the film industry.
All that and more tonight on Student News at 7.
Live from the Kennedy Greenhouse Studio.
This is Student News at 7.
Good evening, Carolina. I'm Grace Berkery.
And I'm Clarissa Meier. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Big changes could be on the horizon for USC's campus in 2025. Following its largest freshman class this fall, a proposal for an expansion project was submitted to the Board of Trustees to accommodate student growth. If approved, USC's student union Russell House will be the first to undergo a makeover that could last until 2028. According to the Daily Gamecock, the project is estimated to cost $240 million. Alongside Russell House, other proposals include updates to housing sites, new bridges, and parking lots to meet the needs of the growing student population. With enrollment expected to rise, further discussion is needed before finalizing these plans. Students were moved unexpectedly when a valve burst in South Quad last Wednesday. SGTV reporter Bridget Pruchowski has the story.
Oh my God.
A busted valve left student residents afloat and displaced at USC's South Quad apartments on Wednesday afternoon. The valve malfunction on the second floor led to substantial flooding seeping through the floor and walls, eventually making its way down to the first floor. South Quad residents shared their personal experiences regarding the event.
I was coming back from class and you could walk in the entrance and there's water everywhere and people running around trying to clean up and getting people banging on doors to get people coming out.
And when you walk through the hallways, you just see water
dripping,
through the
hitting everyone's heads.
And there's fans going, people sweeping it up.
Because our neighbors on the other side, they had about 2 inches of water. Their rugs were floating throughout all of their rooms. Yeah, it it was bad.
The aftermath of the flood left many student rooms damaged. According to a South Quad resident, those affected were promptly relocated to townhomes on Green Street.
Even though students are currently displaced, the cleanup process is underway.
Maintenance crews arrived on the scene shortly after the incident to address the damage.
We try to save as much material as possible, but when we can't, we can't.
Air movers and dehumidifiers have been placed within the halls to help facilitate the drying process. The dehumidifiers have even been collecting 50 gallons of water every hour, according to maintenance. University Housing addressed the situation through email, but it did not include when the displaced students can expect to return to their homes. For SGTV, I'm Bridget Pruchowski.
I don't know about you, but when I was a freshman, it was always a little weird to come home to some strange things.
Yeah, I can say that I lived in a little bit of a nicer dorm. My parents thought it was like a hotel. I mean, it wasn't, but I've definitely heard a lot of these scary stories. But I think that one might take the cake. That bed, I think that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard or had any similar situations, maybe, coming close?
No, nothing compared to that, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think every freshman dorm kind of had its quirks, but we all moved on, we all lived through it. Anyways, former South Carolina Governor David Beasley is bringing his knowledge in politics and public service to USC Law School classrooms. Starting on March 1st, Beasley will serve as a professor of practice and public service in the law school's Department of Legal Studies. Beasley had earned his law degree at USC in 1983 and holds gratitude to the law school for teaching him to think and act with integrity. He's thrilled to be making his return to campus after working 14 years representing 2 South Carolina counties, serving as governor, and co-founding the foreign affairs nonprofit Global Strategies. Beasley is ready to be engaging in making better lawyers. He said, quote, "To now have a chance to give back to a new generation of future leaders is one of the great opportunities of my life," end quote. Among praises from USC leaders, the dean of USC's law school spoke on how he knows Beasley will present exemplary leadership while also being an inspiration to the students. A 911 audio was released that provided more details on the death of USC student Nicholas Donofrio. Last fall, Donofrio was shot while attempting to enter the wrong home. Now the 911 audios show just how the situation came to be. The woman of the home spoke out of breath and franticness, saying, quote, "Please get here fast. He says he thinks he hit him," end quote. The woman and her boyfriend claimed Donofrio had broken the glass of the door and ignored their orders to go away. On the other side, there were concerned friends wanting to file a missing persons report. When their friend was nowhere to be found, they told the dispatcher, quote, "We haven't heard from him in hours. It was supposed to drop him off at home and he never made it," end quote. Confusion resided in both audios, but the death was deemed as a justifiable homicide. His presence continues to be missed in the USC community, but his legacy lives on as Donofrio's fraternity Phi Kappa Sigma and his hometown continue the scholarship fund started in his honor.
Coming up after the break, SGTV sports reporters Lauren Ciuci and Issa Davis will give us the latest in sports. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lauren Ciuci.
And I'm Issa Davis, here to give you the latest in sports.
Dawn Staley and the Gamecock women's basketball team are on fire as they continue to be the only undefeated team left in the nation. On Thursday, the Gamecocks traveled to Baton Rouge for the highly anticipated matchup between these two major SEC teams. Ultimately, the Gamecocks took down the reigning national champions, LSU, after Angel Reese was fouled out in the fourth quarter. Vanderbilt was next on the list to play against South Carolina, and yesterday's game at Colonial Life Arena did not disappoint. The first quarter was back and forth, but sophomore Raven Johnson threw up a basket with just seconds left, ending the first quarter with a score of 18-17 Gamecocks. Gamecocks were able to extend the lead going into halftime and kept it for the duration of the game. Camila Cordoso had an outstanding game with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks. The final score was 91-74 South Carolina, which makes this 51 straight wins home in Columbia. Later this week, Gamecocks will be traveling to Alabama to play Auburn. I know you were at the game. What was the energy like in Colonial Life Arena?
Yeah, the energy was totally there. Aaliyah Boston was at the game and she really got the crowd going crazy. It was such a fun game to be at.
That was awesome. Definitely need to go to some games soon.
You should. Men's basketball has had a successful run this past week in Columbia. South Carolina upset the number 6 ranked Kentucky Wildcats 79-62 last Tuesday night at home, after defeating a top 10 team in a sold-out crowd. Gamecock fans stormed the court at Colonial Life to share their excitement for the big win. This game marked head coach Lamont Paris's first win versus an AP top 25 team. Men's basketball was back in Colonial Life this past weekend as they faced the Missouri Tigers for another Gamecock victory, with a final score of 72-64 Gamecocks. Some key players of the game were Talon Cooper and BJ Mack. The Gamecocks had a 10-point halftime lead as Cooper nailed the last bucket going into the break. Mack has also been leading the Gamecocks in offense in SEC play. He scored 21 points against the Tigers, making him the leading scorer for Saturday's game. Michi Johnson brought in 3 assists and a steal during the game, although it was the first game he hasn't scored any points for Carolina. Missouri tried to nail a second-half comeback, but ultimately South Carolina prevailed in the end. The Gamecocks will face 5th-ranked Tennessee for an away game in Knoxville tomorrow. You can watch the game at 6:30 p.m. on the SEC Network.
Gamecock hockey had a riveting weekend playing back-to-back games against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. On Friday night, the first period score was quickly tied 1-1 until sophomore Nick Kay got a goal, placing the Gamecocks ahead. Tommy Marvin put his first points on the board to start the second period, and shortly after, John Riggins was able to sneak 2 pucks past the Georgia Tech's goalie. Georgia Tech tried to keep up with the Gamecocks' combative scoring, but it was not enough to secure the win. Gamecocks won with the final outcome being 8-5 for Friday night's game, but the story was a little different for them on Saturday night. Georgia Tech was able to score 2 goals in the first period, which would leave South Carolina off the scoreboard. The Gamecocks tried persistently to get themselves back in the game, but Georgia Tech pulled off the win on Saturday night. The final score was 4-2 for the Yellow Jackets. This Friday, South Carolina plays University of Georgia at home. I know a lot of the upcoming games are going to be here in Columbia, so definitely need a lot of the student section filled up to come see these games for sure.
Definitely. The Georgia game and the App State game this weekend will be a great time. The energy will totally be there.
Definitely.
Number 2, South Carolina men's tennis beat Clemson 4-2 at home on Saturday, advancing them to a second round of action at the ITA kickoff weekend. Senior Carter Morgan defeated Clemson's Spencer Whitaker 6-3 and 6-4 at the number 6 position. The game marked their 9th straight win over rival Clemson. The men's team faced LSU for the second round of the kickoff weekend in the regional championship match on Sunday, with a 4-1 win over the Tigers. The Gamecocks grabbed the doubles point for the first time this season as seniors Connor Thompson and Toby Samuels were paired at the number 1 position. The duos claimed a 6-4 win, helping lead the Gamecocks to the ITA Indoor National Championship. The team will face NC State next at home this Friday at 4 p.m. On the other side of tennis, the women's team dropped their second round match at the ITA kickoff weekend on Friday, falling to number 4 Georgia after a 4-1 win over Arizona in the first round on Friday. The match was originally supposed to be played outdoor in Athens, but due to weather conditions and no indoor courts available, it was moved to Clemson SC. South Carolina graduate Ayanna Ackley was the only Gamecock player to get a point on the board after her win over Georgia's 1 seed. The Gamecocks will return home to face Georgia Tech in an SEC-ACC matchup this Friday, February 2nd at noon at the Carolina Indoor Tennis Center.
Coming up after the break, SGTV entertainment reporters Destini Austin and Hailey Brown will lay down the talk of the town. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, Carolina. I'm Hailey Brown.
And I'm Destini Austin, here to give you the latest in this week's entertainment.
Coming up in February, the Columbia Jewish Film Festival will be showing 6 films that highlight Jewish culture and history, as well as Jewish directors. The event will be hosted by Columbia's Katie and Erwin Kahn Jewish Community Center. According to the JCC's website, quote, "The mission of the Columbia Jewish Film Festival is to offer outstanding world cinema that promotes awareness, appreciation, and pride in the diversity of the Jewish experience," end quote. The month-long event will have showings at the Nickelodeon Theater, with tickets at $10 per show. The first film of the month is a biographical documentary following the life and legacy of Gene Wilder, the Jewish actor most famously known for his role as Willy Wonka. Wilder passed after a 3-year battle with Alzheimer's in 2016. The film's Peabody Award-winning director, Ron Frank, has directed and produced many television historical documentaries, several of which are on the subject of Jewish history. Remembering Gene Wilder will show on Sunday, February 4th at 3 p.m.
Need some relaxation this week? Good Life Cafe will be hosting their Nom Nom Namaste event this Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Yoga with instructor Carol Koch will be offered for anyone who wants to participate. Guests will also receive a complimentary small smoothie and a healthy snack as a special treat. The cafe says, quote, "Nom Nom Namaste is not just an event, it's a celebration of life, good food, and self-care," end quote. They host this event every Thursday and will continue until February 29th. Tickets to the event are $10. To sign up and purchase for the upcoming sessions, visit eventbrite.com and search Good Life Cafe. You know, I love yoga. It's such a good way to relax and get your mind in a good headspace. Have you ever done yoga before?
Yeah, I love doing yoga. I do it about once a week right now, but I'd love to do some more, so I'll consider going to this.
Me too.
Do you want something that you want? Well, I'll tell you something that you need. Grace Potter is performing at the Senate tomorrow at 8 p.m. She is most famously known for her song, "I Want Something That I Want," which I just sang, from the soundtrack of the 2010 Disney film Tangled, and the song recently gained popularity on TikTok. Her recent music has aspects of soul, blues, country, and rock and roll.
When I need is a distraction, when my world is closing in. Hey stranger, where you headed? Would you like to let the games begin?
Potter's Mother Road Tour will be featuring songs from her latest album. Mother Road was inspired by Potter's 2021 summer road trip along Route 66. Potter says this trip helped her on a, quote, "journey to self-reliance and a sense of worthiness," end quote, after having suffered from clinical depression. She will be performing with Baltimore country singer Brittany Spencer, who just performed on CBS Saturday Morning.
This corner town has got me down and I ain't blowing smoke. I need a breeze and a little green that
Before fame, Spencer was a backup singer for Carrie Underwood. She received attention for a cover posted on Twitter in 2020 and was named one of Rolling Stone's 25 artists to watch in 2023. Spencer just released her debut album, My Stupid Life, on the 19th. Tickets to the concert are $40 and can be purchased on Ticketmaster. Make sure to bring a clear bag as per policy.
After a month of speculation, actor J.T. Austin announced this past Saturday that he will return to reprise his role, Max, in the Wizards of Waverly Place reboot. Wizards was confirmed last month when Selena Gomez and David Henry announced their return. Austin made no comment. Rumors were confirmed this Saturday when Austin reposted Henry's photo on his Instagram story saying, quote, "Wow, I'm looking forward to getting together with my Wizard family," end quote. The upcoming show is set to focus on Henry's character Justin, as well as some new characters. Gomez and Austin are expected to be guest stars on the show. Many fans are excited and can't wait to see their favorite childhood actors on screen again. The highly anticipated show has not yet released an official premiere date. You know, Wizards of Waverly Place was one of my favorite shows, and I can't wait to watch it again.
I have to admit, I never watched Wizards of Waverly Place, but
really,
I'm sorry, but I love Selena Gomez. I wasn't really a Disney girl back then, but I promise I'll watch the reboot.
Okay, good. That's all your entertainment news for tonight. After the break, Clarissa and Grace will return to finish up tonight's news. Stay with us.
A popular Columbia staple is closing its doors after 3 years of business. Noma Warehouse, located in the heart of Cottontown, was best known for its flea markets every Friday showcasing vintage items and artwork. Co-owners Maisie Cook and Beth Lawson say they made the tough decision to close up shop to focus on family and other projects.
Yeah, I'll say we're both really sure people. We do everything with so much determination and kind of like, no, this is it. And this one really stumped us.
This isn't the end of Noma Warehouse. Cook and Lawson plan to continue helping local artists bring awareness to their businesses, as well as help plan events within the city. Their next event is the Cottontown Art Crawl on March 9th, where over 200 South Carolina artists will be able to showcase their work. I personally was never able to make it out while they were open, but I'm really intrigued to see what they're gonna do next. It sounds like it's gonna be a lot.
For sure. It seems like they're still having a little bit more of a prospect, seeing what future events might be possible in the future. But I think right now is just a time for them to take time for themselves. But I really wish that I made it around to Noma because I love my flea markets, but
it definitely had a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Even when they were closing down, they still had a lot of things packing up and really super cool stuff.
Maybe we should head over to the Cottontown event, but we'll see. We'll see how this weekend goes. This past weekend, President Biden was in Columbia as the featured speaker for the South Carolina Democratic Party's First in Nation celebration dinner. With an intent of winning back the support of Black voters in South Carolina, he spoke of his administration's accomplishments for the Black community. He also proceeded to call out his opponent, Donald Trump, on multiple remarks, taking note of the contrast between the two presidencies. He emphasized how he wouldn't be in this position without the support of the Democrats of South Carolina and said, quote, "You're the reason Donald Trump is a loser, and you're the reason we're going to win and beat him again," end quote. He made multiple visits around Columbia, including making a stop at a local business, the barbershop Regal Lounge. The owner of the barbershop said even though a haircut for the president and Secret Service was not on the table, he hopes that this visit will help shine a light on Columbia and their business. Traffic cluttered this weekend as roads were blocked off for the president, and some stood awaiting to see him on Main Street. More leaders, such as California Governor Newsom, are also planning to continue their campaigns around the Palmetto State in support of Biden's re-election.
On the Republican ticket, Donald Trump and Nikki Haley also have their sights set on South Carolina. Despite Trump's double-digit victory over Haley in the New Hampshire caucus, Haley remains determined to advance her campaign into the Palmetto State. She said during her consensus speech, quote, "New Hampshire is the first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over," end quote. As for the former president, he currently leads statewide polls with an average of 62% support compared to 25% for Haley. Early voting for the South Carolina Republican primaries begins February 12th, marking a crucial phase in the race for the nomination. That wraps up tonight's edition of Student News at 7.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at SGTV at USC.
To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also visit us online at sgtv@usc.com. For SGTV News, I'm Grace Berkery.
And I'm Clarissa Meier. From all of us here at SGTV, have a great night, Carolina, forever to thee.